Alright, folks, hello and welcome back to Downstage Gaming. I'm your host, Josh, and this is part 40 of our Let's Play of The Letter. When we last left off, Ash and Isabella had a pretty rough day. They started out by finding out that Zach was in prison. We went there to try to see sort of if there was anything we could do. Ran into Luke, and he said some things that really pissed us off. We told him off, and Isabella threw a glass of water in his face, which was good. It was good. It was helpful. And then after that, we got the notice that we got the call from Rebecca to Ashton, and then we got a notice that there was a jumper, and we came to find Rebecca had passed. And so now here we are after that sort of heavily emotional moment, apparently speaking to Mrs. Gales. This should be uncomfortable. Death notification is a task I avoid like a plague. Although I've known Rebecca since childhood, there are plenty of reasons why I shouldn't be the one breaking the bad news to her parents. 1. Protocol states you're always supposed to do this in person. 2. Protocol also states you're supposed to do this with a partner. And 3. I've never been good with words. But here I am, unceremoniously thrusted into the task, all because there's no other one. As expected, everything goes as well as my blunt mouth can take. Mrs. Gale's relentless sobs echo loudly throughout the receiver when I finish informing them, while all I can say before ending the call is an empty
I'm really sorry, Mrs. Gales.
Before ending the call with a click and heading back inside Isabella's apartment. Her mom's voice still rings in my ears, even as I leave it all in the hallway behind me. Here, though, Isabella's cries have already faded into soft whimpers, and sometime while talking to Rebecca's family, she has fallen asleep. Now she lays still, curled up under her blanket. Wordlessly, I take the empty space on the edge of the bed. Despite how peaceful this all seems, the gravity of her death has hit all of us hard. It's in the dense air now lingering the room. It hangs heavy in my shoulders while I try to make sense of everything in my head. Most of all, it's in the furrow between Isabella's brows. Gently, I reach out to smoothen it out. She reacts with nothing but a sigh before turning on her back and burying herself further under the sheets. Rebecca's dead. She's the last person I need to account for, damn it. Although Zach's not in a better situation, he's alive. Isabella's here.
How could this have happened?
With no ears to hear, the question merely fades into nothingness. How many more close calls do we have to go through? How many deaths do we have to witness? How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this, losing people important to them, one by one, right in front of them. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. She, out of all of us, carries a much deeper attachment with the people she loves, no matter how little time she spent with them. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, surprisingly calm and composed in the face of this, is what suddenly cuts through the thick air.
Ash, what do we do now?
It's a question I've been dreading to hear. Unable to offer an answer, I avert my gaze and mumble my uncertainties under my breath, hoping she won't hear.
I don't know.
I don't even know how I'll be able to keep you safe.
We can't let that woman, that thing, take more people from us. I'm not going to lose you or Zach to her.
Well, I've got some potentially bad news coming later tonight for you, Isabella. And you. Her bed creaks, dips, when she pushes herself off it and takes the empty space in the couch. Quietly, she begins gathering every paper from BRC and starts laying them out on the table. Once done, she glances briefly at me, a sharp, determined one, then gets straight down to business without another pause. With what happened, I have no choice but to follow her lead. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam soon enough. All at once, everything we brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed has been laid out for close scrutiny. Her encounters with the woman, our close brushes with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be. Logic be damned. Or at least, that's what Isabel and I would like to believe. Yet, even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of late afternoon and eventually night, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we started this. Next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the room, and we simply fall silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
I mean, what is it exactly they're trying to get from just these like, I thought the thing was they were gonna, like, go out and, like, contact people.
Ash, please. Rebecca wouldn't want us to give up on this.
It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of the optimism right now, I guess. Isabella's right on the other point as well. Rebecca would definitely give me an earful herself if she were still here. She had a knack for being brutally honest with her opinions. We had often clashed at times, yet I still respected her for it. Her opinion was as valuable as every other person I've let into my life. I can't lose another person like that.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper right before the open house. No one was allowed inside that place for a time that day. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? How does this thing even work? This is like when I was first trying to grapple with the language of the letter.
Yeah, okay, we went in and out of the place, but no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is, maybe there's more to this than just the letter.
That's what I've been saying.
Possibly.
Ashton?
Hey, I'm trying my best here. I wasn't trained to deal with this kind of shit.
We're also missing a lot of things here. There's still a gap. A huge one. Even with the information we currently have right now, it still feels like there's something we're overlooking. All we have to go with is the letter and all the stuff selfish people have been keeping from the public. But what else? If only we had Becca's information. That might have actually helped. Where this all started? The Ermengarde mansion? Will bringing the letter back there fix everything? Fuck. How do I? The mansion's private property now, can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. After what he did to Zack, not gonna happen, over my dead body. Careful of the things you say, Ash. One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us like she did with Rebecca. Damn it, I hope Zack's safe where they're keeping him. There are guards stationed at the holding cells 24/7, but you can't be sure. This is a ghost we're up against. Before anything happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything to sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know I will. It's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in Isabella's eyes as she looks up at me, waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few.
The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh booming noise rending through the eardrums of every person in the room. All at once, Isabella's on her feet while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. I don't think the gun is going to help, Ash. However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the two of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
Ash, do you think that's her?
Gather everything.
We didn't hear the telltale, giggle or the weird sound. No questions asked. She wastes no time getting to work, piling up the documents we've been reading, though. Even Isabella is unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms, her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly, the lights go out, and the wardrobe at the end of the room rattles, as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and I release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a ghost. I really don't think it will, Ash. But right now, its smooth surface against my palm with the trigger on my finger provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing? Ashton?
Worried as she is, she immediately stops at the slight raise of my hand. But the edge is there while huddles in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, she has enough time and space to run from her position. In 2 deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to banging at the door, louder and louder the longer I dab. Another shallow breath. A glance at Isabella. A nod. Something creaks. Then, in the next moment, I'm grasping at the handles and swinging the doors wide open to reveal... nothing. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it, and still none. No ghost, no woman, not a single trace of whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards Isabella, only to see her mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up now that my head's making things up. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein of my body. In the next second, I'm barking orders and...
We should go. Isabella, we need to...
I'm sent sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. Oh no. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head as it collides against the floor, with force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision, and then I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles and the smell of vile rot assaulting my nose. Nauseating, sickening, a foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I've heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Perhaps it's just an experience, or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on hers, the whole of my body freezes, the gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. In the manner her gaze bores on me, I'll say. The look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it loads of times. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be
Ashton, snap out of it!
No. I can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind and instinct kicks in then and there.
Isabella, out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out of her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wails she fills the room with. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing for Isabella's arm and leading her out. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second she closes the door behind her. In a short while, I'm driving us out of Salemwell. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. Whew. Alright. Really thought a QuickTime event was coming there. Well, let's take a look at what we got at the end of this long day then. Just a cupboard. What? Alright, well here we are, Halloween Day. Dreary downpour starts off the Monday. Although it doesn't last for more than an hour, the dark clouds lift just after the sun peaks over the horizon. Brief as it is, the rain has significantly dampened the park's usual cheery vibe. Mornings like this often mark the start of another bad week. An arrest gone wrong, another investigation leading to a dead end, or some truly fucked up shit being called in. Like that one time I was dispatched to a scene where a guy gouged his own eyeball out and almost ate it. Was a few chews away from swallowing it, in fact. Lost my dinner that day. Well, thanks for sharing with us, Ash.
Fun times.
Yep, the good old days. Of course, I doubt anything can top getting cursed by a damn chain letter of all things. This is the sort of stupid thing people pass along as a prank through emails and text messages, for fuck's sake. A ghost chasing after you just puts the icing on that cake. So far, all we've done is run, snoop about, read stuff, and run again. Frustrates me to no end how we're still no closer to an answer. Oh, believe me, baby, I'm 6 chapters in. I'm pretty frustrated with our lack of answers at this point. Even my car reflects the state my mind is in. Photocopies of documents litter every available surface, scattered all over the place, spilling from the passenger side into the back seat, making an entire mess of what little space there is. Not that I'm any better. My last shower was 24 hours ago. Haven't slept at all. My last meal was that chocolate porridge thing Isabella offered. The way I am now, I'll definitely get a scolding. If Becca were here, she'd give me an earful, tell me to take care of myself better, say that I'm killing myself on the job. I can already hear Isabella complaining how dark the bags under my eyes are getting, and about how I reek and how I need to shower pronto.
I can rest easy when this is all over.
It's not that I can't feel the pang of hunger. I mean, yeah, you really only got, what, like, another day or two? Yeah, you're nearly there. With that woman chasing after you, it's difficult to not to feel anything other than horror. The rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins and my desperation to survive. In fact, I can still sense the ghost of her touch from last night. Her bony digits wound tightly around my ankle and that horrid smile she has in her as she pulls me closer. The memory's enough to send a shiver up my spine and make me antsy. Perhaps the only thing comforting about this is the sight of my gun nearby. From my dashboard, sunlight glints off Ophelia's surface. Why did you name your gun Ophelia, you psychopath? Normally I keep it hidden in a compartment. Luxborn police regulations only allow authorized people to carry firearms, and even those are limited. I do have that authorization. But I never really saw the need for its use, when the standard issue tasers are more than good enough to incapacitate anyone. Well, that's good. If not, I can always throw them on their back. Those judo lessons Dad forced on me to get as a kid has its uses too. On a ghost, though, all of those will probably yield the same result. They're all useless. I might as well use a stick. I think we're in agreement here, Ash. However, it's the feeling of ease I'm after, or what little of it I can gather from it. The awareness that I, at least, have something to protect myself with, in case things go wrong. That I can still protect the people who are still depending on me, despite the missteps I've taken. Doesn't take the edge off, though, the feeling that your whole body has been strained far beyond its capacity. Frankly, I'm already running out of steam. The only thing pushing me right now is knowing someone's still depending on me. I love that we're getting, like, story update after story update that I'm, like, sure is all just about, like, well, who's alive and who's dead at this point. A stretch is still in order, though. I've been sitting here since last night. Soon, I step out of my car, closing it behind me with a thud as I take in my surroundings. The rain did wonders. The morning air feels crisper and cooler than it has ever been in days. For once, the weather seems to be taking a turn for the normal. Luxborn normal. In the distance, beyond the buildings lining the horizon, dark clouds are blowing in.
A storm might be due this evening, give or take.
Oh, that's foreboding. Nice Halloween night storm. Shame for the people looking forward to Halloween tonight. I'm just not sure whether this is something I can look forward to as well. Still, I bask in the change it brings. Inhale. Exhale. Breathing in, taking in the peace, as if it'll be my last. But, as with all good things, the quiet shortly comes to an end. Not necessarily a bad end. Her humming reaches my ears first, halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find her, Isabella, just as she enters the park grounds, bags of convenience store food in hand. After last night's flight from Salamo, we've elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will still be safe. Normally, we'd both be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. It's not like we've gotten an ounce of sleep anyway, on the off chance one of us did and only lasted a second, or it's a fitful one. But looking at her right now, from afar, it's easy to mistake her for someone who's simply out on an early morning stroll. Her steps are light and free as she walks, the expression on her face calm, if not untroubled. Her voice fills the atmosphere with a light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. It's easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in a life-and-death situation the way she acts now. Easy to forget we've lost someone, or one of us is being framed for a crime he likely didn't commit. If anything, it's only her appearance that betrays that mask. Slightly disheveled, bags under her eyes, an exhausted curve in her shoulders, and dragging footsteps. But the closer she gets, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. She passes an energy drink my way, and the moment the distance allows it, and hands me the other bag she's holding, before seating herself on the edge of the fountain. The scent of warm food immediately wafts from the bag when I open it, carried further by a passing breeze. Energy sheep, huh? Sheep isn't really something you think of when you think of energy drinks. Whatever sweet sauce they drizzled over this pork wanabe, it smells heavenly. Hell, even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what it is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought. I dig in without waiting for her to start. Although she appears to be of the same mind too, and soon enough she also starts with hers. No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we both are, food is something we can't forgo. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body, strengthens the ghoul. If we are to survive this, we're gonna have to take care of ourselves first. It's one thing Zach will likely remind me if he's here. I know that's what Rebecca would do. In a matter of minutes, we're done, and dumping the empty cartons on a nearby waste bin. Along with it is the shift in the mood. Back to dismal. Back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I've missed these kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance, always busy on some project or work, things we've taken for granted. Now we're realizing how valuable they are. With one of us gone, the other stuck in a jail cell, the world has an awful sense of humor. While the one we've just had is short-lived, it's another thing I want to look forward to, if we ever free ourselves from this damn curse. I'd like to believe there's a way. For now, we have to focus on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary.
What now? Where do we go from here?
Please tell me we have an answer this time. It's an innocent question at best, but she looks to me as if my face has all the answers in the world. I used to think so, back when I was at the top of my game, and I'm still sure of everything. Back when I was an ace detective. But now there's just uncertainty sullying whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has simply stopped working here, and we started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue, and stress, we have enough kindling to get a fire burning. The not-so-pleasant kind of fire.
We can't stay here. We'd be sitting ducks if we remain in one place.
But we can't just keep running like this either, Ash. Sooner or later, she'll...
We don't have much of a choice, Isabella. Even our homes aren't safe. Anytime, that woman, that thing might get us. Fuck. A zombie apocalypse would be better than this.
It would certainly have more seeming logic to it.
So what then? You're giving up?
Nobody said that.
Just because this whole thing isn't panning out the way you want it to, doesn't mean there isn't a way out.
This is not what I want. This is not what I planned.
Ash, I know Zach wouldn't want you to do that. I know Rebecca wouldn't.
Rebecca's gone! Dead! Isabella, if what happened last night didn't tell you how bad—
I know that! You don't have to keep reminding me. Do you really think I don't blame myself for everything?
No, it's pretty obvious you blame yourself. Well, you both are blaming yourself for everything, really, if we're getting right down to it.
Wait, what? No!
Wrong. No. If there's anyone who's responsible for getting everyone in this mess, it's not her. She warned us. She warned me. Tried to stop me when I pried the letter off her hands. It's never her fault. If there's anyone she should be blaming, it's me.
I'm not— No one's telling you to—
Simply seeing that expression on her face. That guilt eating away at her.
Well, please don't think that way. Not right now.
It hurts.
No, but you might as well just say it.
It hurt that I can't even do anything to lighten that burden.
Even if you don't, I know everyone, even Rebecca, thinks this is...
It hurts that I can't find the right words to soothe that
Belle,
grief.
that's enough. We'll just have to make do with what we have. Stop blaming yourself for every little thing, because it's not even helping anyone at this point.
We both falter to silence at my words with an awkward, stifling mood descends between us. I don't mean to shout, to snap at her, to add to that kindling. Not in a moment when anytime, anywhere she, that damn ghost, might get to one of us. We're both in the same boat, yet here we are, playing the blame game. Little by little, we're falling apart, caving into pressure, to the bleak situation we're trapped in. Did that ghost mean for this to happen? To divide each of us so she could pick us off one by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. With the fire burning between us rising as high as it does now, I'm afraid, deathly afraid, that the possibility might come sooner than I can figure all this out. Fuck, I still can't think straight. I can't even believe the next words coming out of my own mouth, that out of everyone, I have to be the one saying these to her. This is more her forte than mine, keeping the peace, getting along with everyone, while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have turned after just one unfortunate incident. How am I even supposed to cope?
I swear I'll get us out of this mess. I'll find a way to get Zach out of that place.
I'm afraid we're too late on that count.
But if we want to make it out of this in one piece, we're gonna have to calm down first.
Before my own temper flares, I walk away and slide back into my car. Alright, let's take a look at what we got. Some hot groceries. Alright. The door slams with more force than needed. I'd like to blame it on the pent-up anger boiling up in me. Not even sure what or who I'm angry at. The ghost, at her sudden outburst, or maybe at myself for being this useless. Because despite her not saying anything, I know, goddammit, she's still counting on me. In spite of my failures, or every harsh word I've uttered, or how unbearable I can be as a friend, it's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks, and she follows me and gets in the car. It's in concerned glances she shoots my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in her silence, a heavy gift, her unwavering trust. Yet, it's one I'm more than willing to carry, even through my own exhaustion, if only to keep her safe. In this city of 68,000 strangers, she's the only one I have left. It's a good line. No, in all seriousness, a good rest is still our best bet for now. Thinking with an exhausted brain is almost as good as running around in circles. We might as well just throw ourselves at that ghost and be done with this. The local Irish pub may not be the best place to hang around when one hasn't slept a wink or you're stressed. More often than not, it's loud. Sometimes the music played by drunkards grates the ears and the whole place smells like piss on a bad day. All in all, it's the very definition of the last place I'll hang around after a wakeful night, but it's safe. Or as safe as it can be with G's security watching the place, making it easy to find help in case you find yourself in a tight spot. The place being owned by a person I've implicitly placed my trust on provides some semblance of comfort too. Gregor, bartender G, or just G to his regular patients, might be rough around the edges, sometimes a bit too gruff for a man serving drinks behind the counter, but he belongs to the good folk of the city. If there's anyone in this place I can rely on to look after people important to me, it's probably him. He means well, surprisingly. Despite his surly demeanor, cares to some extent for people he likely only sees once or twice a week, or on a bad day. Not the best job in the world, in my opinion, but that's exactly it, isn't it? In wine, there is truth. Alcohol, in this case. It loosens the tongue, forces one to let his or her guard down, whatever inhibitions anyone has. It all flies straight out the window after a few glasses. It's made him observant, too. Always has one or two things to say about someone or something. Most of the time, it's me. Opinionated ass. But God knows how many times I've asked for his help when I've met with a dead end in a case or I'm in trouble. This time's no different. As expected, the moment we show up, he's kind enough to offer us a room at the back of his shop. A single look at my face, I don't even need to say anything, and the next thing we know, he's leading us in. No questions asked. Maybe it's also for this reason why I find myself drifting towards his station hours later, after having gotten that much needed shut-eye. Newly washed drinking glasses and tumblers line the counter surface when I enter the room. Behind the bar, G's busy wiping each of them clean, likely prepping it for tonight's use. Briefly, he glances up at me once I claim one of the empty stools and grab a rocks glass sitting closest to my elbow. Turning it absent-mindedly in my palm, just to keep my hands occupied while my brain's busy, still trying to make sense of everything. Even at a dead hour, with only a few patrons milling about, this place still smells strongly of liquor. Honestly, I've never grown fond of it. Regardless of how many times I've made a trip or sat here in the same spot just talking with the old man. Never been fond of drinking in the first place. Yet, oddly, it's the nasty odor of a brewery that helps clear the mind this time. Along with the lack of the establishment's usual hubbub and the occasional clinking of glasses. Even more bizarre is that, through my lack of words, G doesn't say anything. Although it's clear from the way his mouth is curved up in a tight frown that he has questions, a bucket load of it, he wisely keeps it shut. Instead, he simply focuses back on his work, rinse, wipe, stash away, repeat, going through the motions with such familiarity, it's almost a trance. Watching his precise movements quietly like this, with these thoughts swimming inside my head, it's easy to lose track of everything around me. One solid lead on this, one possible way to sort this out, but will it work? Especially if my assumption is correct, and the reason Zach was there yesterday morning was because of the curse. Something must have happened there for him to see the need to look into it and break inside that place. What if the couple has fallen victim to the curse? Doesn't fall outside the realm of possibility. I've been so biased, not even thinking that they might be in danger as well. But during the open house with Isabella, they might have seen the letter and... fuck.
Stupid, stupid, stupid. Some fucking detective I am.
Yeah, you're not great, Ash. I'm gonna be honest. You're a B- at best. That's likely the moment when Cooper saw it. If the logic holds, I need to hurry there right away. And if there are answers anywhere, it would be there. It should be there, where all of this fucking mess started. It's not only my life on the line here. There are others. What happened to us, I won't wish on anyone else, no matter how much I loathe them, or how complicated all of this has suddenly become. The letter, the woman, the mansion. There's always a letter, a woman, and a mansion. And now, they are the voices lacing venom inside every crevice in my head. Murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride wherever an opportunity presents itself.
It's because you didn't listen.
It's all your fault. Why won't you believe me?
A reminder of what I failed to do, and of who I failed. At some point, they all began to blur together, twinning and coiling, every horrid image and memory of her seeking the forefront of my mind. No matter how much I refuse to remember the fear I felt then, to push it as far back as I can, the visions come to me like a deluge. And before I know it, before I can drown, another voice pulls me out of it.
You doing good there, boy?
Oh, gee. Gee, you have no idea, my friend. I'm doing very, very poor. Very poorly indeed. His hand is on my shoulder, gripping it tightly and giving me a light shake. There's relief in his face when I finally look up at him, although his frown appears more distinct than the concern in his eyes. It's deeper now, marred with worry and agitation. He does let go when I offer him a small nod, but the furrow between his eyebrows never leaves his face. He always has a knack for reading people, after all, even someone who can be as closed off or distant like me. In all the time I've spent with the Force, there's only one other person who's as keen as this old guy, the Chief. I'm also pretty sure they're the same voice actor, but not like 100% sure. Funny, and weird too, to some degree. I pointed out to him so many times before how much they look alike. Okay, so is this intentional? Only for the observation to be brushed off with a vehement tone. I never brought it up again after the third time, out of respect for the guy. Whatever it is, it's clear it's something he doesn't want to talk about. Are they like brothers or something? Long-lost twins? Why push, right? However, during times like this, it's impossible for the thought not to come up, even as the glare down pat. Under his wordless scrutiny, I feel like a damn rookie again.
You're looking a bit green. Sure you got plenty of rest back there?
Oh, very much did not.
You were only out for an hour or two. Wouldn't hurt to try and get some sleep. I'll keep an eye out.
No need. Don't worry about me. I won't be able to get some sleep anyway.
Not with her face still a clear picture in my head, no.
I heard that from you before. Not buying it. What's the story this time? This as bad as that case with the guy who ate his own eyeball?
I wish it were.
I don't know about that.
Jesus, stop reminding me. I hated that case. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you get a kick out of telling people about it.
It's useful, you know, for blokes who don't know their limits. Sends them right out the door after I start with a description. Or was it the part when the poor schmuck gouged his eyes out? Nasty, awful, icky stuff, and it gets the job done. Like I said, useful. Don't even need to call security these days if I want to kick someone out.
Just tell him about the eye gouging and it really does the trick.
Anyway, pretty sure that pales in comparison to whatever this is now. I haven't seen you this stressed out since I closed that case.
How do you feel about Ghost, G?
The one from 10 years ago with your professor friend.
Is G short for Ghost?
Abigail and her team weren't able to solve that one, G. No one has been able to. It just went cold.
Same difference. But what do I know, eh? I just serve drinks, listen to people's problems and their whining, then make sure they get home safe afterwards. Thing is, I'm also not blind, kiddo. And you can bet your ass I can tell when a person's about to fall apart.
What? Is this some form of therapy from you? Are you going to offer me free drinks now?
Really, I can use them right now. Something to numb the senses. But when has that helped anyone?
In your dreams, kid. Last time someone gave you the hard stuff, your photographer friend had to haul you out of this place almost half naked.
Hey, I can handle my liquor when I put my mind to it.
Not from what I've seen, nope. Besides, you usually avoid drinking. Either way, it's out of the equation. And when booze no longer counts, we just talk. So, talk. It's not like anyone within earshot will care. That chap over there only wants his cricket matches.
I doubt you believe it, G.
I've heard worse stuff. Try me.
You know that mansion down at Anslem?
Yeah, who doesn't? You live in this town long enough, it's impossible not to hear a thing or two about it. bloody locals.
I hate the people that come here.
Well, my friend found a primitive version of a chain letter in there. Now that we've seen it, we're cursed.
A beat passes. For a long moment, G stands there, unmoving. His hand stops short of placing the glass he's been wiping prior back to a rack on his lap. All while he stares at me with eyes that are nothing short of scrutinizing. He probably assumes I'm joking. Who wouldn't? Not a week ago, I've been put in the same position. Even now, in spite of things I've seen and heard, it simply won't sink in. Maybe this is just desperation creeping in? The idea that I may not be able to find a way out of this? Whatever the case is, for people who hasn't experienced what I'm going through, some merely sound like an awful Halloween prank.
It's not a prank.
This must have been what Isabella felt like the whole time we made fun of her that day.
This isn't a prank! I saw something!
Now, it's too late. We're stuck in a never-ending nightmare where the only way out might be death. And like I expected, G's reaction to it, an amused laughter. It booms throughout the whole pub after a long bout of silence, like I've just told him a particularly funny joke.
Okay.
G,
Good one, kid.
I really thought you were going to be on my side on this one, G.
You don't want to spill. No one's forcing you. Seriously, though. Good one.
I mean, it wasn't that funny as like a joke. Although I want to be angry with him, I can't find it in myself. Can't even muster the energy for a scowl or a glare. Nothing but a taste of my own medicine to temper the annoyance bubbling up in me, I suppose. Also, you told him, like, nothing. Like, there's a lot more specific details you could tell him that might help in his believing this. In the end, echoing her words is the best I can do.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, all right. Good luck with that. You're on your own. Here I thought you didn't have an ounce of humor in that body. Guess I'm wrong.
He shakes his head, lets out another chuckle before returning to his task. By now, almost half of the glasses have been put away. The only ones remaining are the smaller kind, used for shots, and stemmed ones for cocktails. Despite being busy with his task, his amusement does not entirely disappear from his face. He keeps talking, as if I'm simply another customer he entertains with his stories. But we both know it's more than that. It's the wistful expression on him, says anything.
Man, can't believe you're the same rookie who walked in here almost a decade ago. Too smart for his own good, that boy. He's always been 2 steps ahead of things. Now he's here, sulking.
I must have screwed up somewhere then.
I must have screwed up a lot for things to suddenly shift like this, for me to become a mere shadow of the person I used to be.
Nah, I don't think so. This one, screwed up? Not by a mile. It's too early to say. You've still got several years ahead of you, Holmes. Take it easy.
Are you my Watson?
But some things change, eh? It has been years, and you were a kid back then. You know, the sort that's a bit unsure, making all the horrible decisions in life he'd eventually be embarrassed to talk about.
You never stopped calling me kid, though.
Well, you still are.
You never deserved anything better.
It's just that this time, you're sure of who that badge and gun is for. What was it you police types usually say? To protect and serve, yeah?
A significant pause follows at its heels. From both of us as he allows its meaning to sink in and spur something in me, stirring a feeling both heavy and forceful, but not completely unwelcome. Familiar. Though before I can even clarify what he's trying to imply or gather my thoughts on the matter, G turns away to begin his work on the silverwares. He'll need those too, once more of his patrons come for his lunch. Slow and easy, a sharp contrast with the strained air we've been wading through these past weeks. A fleeting moment, but one I allow myself to relish in, if only because of its absence lately. The way things are now, this is almost a gift. So when it all ends with the sound of my phone ringing, a sigh is all that leaves me. I placed the damn thing on low volume last night, but it does nothing to keep it quiet. I don't even know if I want to answer it right now. This brought me nothing but one bad news after another. Thinking back about it only makes me want to chuck it into the closest trash bin I can find. Not that it'll help things, of course. Another exhale slips past my lips before I pull it out, quickly swiping over the screen without checking the caller ID. Before we get to that, let's real quick just take a look at, okay, just a nice little thing of the bars. After all, the one person who will worry or fret over how awful I might sound right now is here with me. My parents never call around this hour, so chances are it's probably just the chief or Abigail. There's Zach, but he's in a position where contacting me is impossible, placed in jail by some scumbag for a crime he likely didn't commit. No use pretending when I'm not when it's anything but.
Inspector Frey speaking.
Good morning, sir. Sorry to bother you this early.
What is this about?
It's about your friend, you know? The guy I called you about yesterday, the one they brought in the night before. Zachary Steele.
His hesitant note does nothing to diminish the lump that has suddenly lodged itself at the base of my throat. What are the chances? What are the chances that something went wrong while I'm not looking? While I'm out here brooding of all things?
How is he? Is he doing okay?
We actually have a problem, Detective Inspector.
Hasty assumptions aren't a usual fare in my book. That shouldn't change right now. The precinct is secure. It's supposed to be. They have guards manning the station 24/7. If anything happens, all Zach has to do is shout and someone will be there for him. Yeah, you should have been there. It was really kind of tragic. Even if it's a phantom going after him, he should be safe there. He should have been. Yet none of these reassurances will allay my suspicions, and whatever little thread of hope I'm hanging on to frays slowly as each second of silence passes by. An expectation so weak, faint, I might as well just let it go and prepare myself for the worst. It's a feeble attempt at optimism I will never get used to. This is out of my depth. This isn't my forte. Zach's, maybe. Rebecca's, too. Never mind. Hell, this is the kind of mood Isabella has always unknowingly brought with her. What her eyes often conveyed, what I often found myself searching in her whenever I looked to them. But no matter how many times I repeat any words of comfort or calming images inside my head, the howled chill at the base of my stomach refuses to ease. Even my voice shakes when I urge Officer Renz to speak again, weak and unsteady. The only thing keeping me from stumbling when I abruptly stand is the counter's solid support beside me, the flat of my hand braced against it for leverage.
Officer Renz. Renz, right? What happened? You're supposed to keep an eye on him, yeah? It's protocol.
Your friend, sir, he's... I think it'd be better if you just saw it yourself, sir. This isn't something you should be hearing over the phone. Chief Inspector Lee wants you to report in as well. It's about the case Luke Wright filed yesterday, and...
The rest never registers. Rather, my brain refuses to acknowledge any of it. Not even the possibility this might just be a terrible joke. All I can think of is the suffocating dread and the piercing noise, white and deafening, ringing in my ears, despite the bar's morning hush. There is only Zach. Only the whole expanse of Luxborn, separating me from the one person I still believe safe from this whole fucked up situation we found ourselves in. Along with the voices. Vile ones. Whispers that taunt, jeer, and mock. Each vague utterance growing relentlessly as I make my way out of the bar without another word to G and slide back into my car. Alright. Well, we are going to have to see what it is that we find at the police office there next time. Whew! Things continue to be rough, but we're working our way through it. Until next time, this has been Downstage Gaming. I've been your host, Josh, and I will see you all next time.